What's up, fellow Castaways fans? We are down to 7 castaways on the island. We're going to be breaking down the 2 people that left tonight, as well as revealing your most valuable castaway for last week. Stick around.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
I don't know how to dance.
We got a different vibe today.
You could dance to the one last week, but not
I
this week.
couldn't dance to the one last week because it was just as awkward as this.
Awkward, man. I kind of like the song. Never heard the song before this, but I like it.
This is like ska country, and we love it.
Oh, it's
Ska
Zach
country.
It's Zach Brown band. Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Ska country. That's a nice combo. But welcome everybody to AfterBuzz TV competitions. We're going to be breaking down episode 4 of Castaways tonight. But before we do that, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Michael Patterson, along with my wonderful panel next to me, starting off with CJ. Got his best Sawyer outfit on
I
today.
am. I'm rocking the hat. A lot's going on over here, so I'm trying to figure that out.
And next to him is Katie, who's also rocking the outfit. I'm liking the holes.
Yeah, you know, Castaway themed. I'm really excited for this.
It's more of a
show.
Woodstock thing.
And finally, the one and only Tehran, who's kind
In
of
a
getting into the
bathrobe.
costume.
Not even
Maybe.
in theme.
It is theme. If we were stranded on the island and someone needed a blanket, I wouldn't share. I have a built-in blanket. I'm good.
Oh, good to
Is this
know.
going to be the debate of the episode right here? Is this an outfit?
It is an outfit.
It's not an outfit.
It's clearly
Not
a
It's not an
outfit.
outfit.
I have sweatpants, a shirt, a made-in blanket, a hat to protect me from the sun. It's not my fault that branding's on fleek.
Oh.
All right. We'll take it. But we got a great show for you guys tonight. We're going to be breaking down a lot of great pairings. We're going to be talking about Eric, Chelle, and Tim, Richard, Sawyer finding Matt at the end of the episode, as well as Terry and Rashana and Tracy. Is that her name? I guess.
Who?
Exactly.
Exactly. We're going to be getting right into that, but we're going to be talking about also some news from this past week, and we're going to be revealing the winner of the most valuable castaway from last week, as well as a new special segment. So stick around for that. But we're going to start right on off, as always, with overall thoughts. Tehran, your thoughts on the episode?
This episode was a fun episode because it led to me wanting to see what happens next week. There were a lot of cliffhangers, so to speak. It put things into perspective. So I was actually mildly amused and relieved of some of the things that happened.
Wow.
Wow.
Katie, what about you?
Yeah, I really liked this episode. I feel like we got to see a lot of people come together and some of those singles finally meet other people, so that was really exciting for me, yeah.
Yeah, I really liked how we got to see everyone start coming together. So it made it a lot more interesting than the last episode.
Yeah, see, I liked this episode, but honestly, I kind of miss having people being by themselves. I feel like that was some of the most fun.
That was boring.
Well, Terry's still by herself.
That's true. We
She's
still have
back to being by herself.
Back
which
to
is-
being
we still
by
have one. We
herself.
still have one
Spoiler.
left, which will be fun to discuss. But yeah, I mean, I thought this episode was nice. It kind of almost mimicked last week in a way.
I don't think so. I think last week was a internal struggle, and this one was much more of an external one. We saw a lot more set up to potential conflict later, whether it's the infection in the legs that we saw with your favorite people, or CJ, you have favorites. CJ has favorites.
Okay, I do.
And your favorites are going to possibly have legs amputated. And that's all I'm saying. I'm not hoping that happens, but those infections did not look
I
fun.
didn't even know that coral could grow in someone's leg. Is that true? Everyone's just looking at me like this kid over here.
The girl on the island, the girl that lives on the island, said,
Chelle.
Chelle said it could happen, and I'm gonna take her word for it because I don't know anything about living in the forest. But
Also, my favorite did not have anything wrong with her leg. My least favorite
my gosh.
had something wrong with his leg.
Well, we
So
found
you're
out-
wrong.
We found out this episode that while Mackenzie's extremely independent, she's come to rely and like her companion.
Robbie.
All right.
yeah,
All
very
right.
big turn of face in
That
this
is
episode.
that is a huge development for Mackenzie as a person.
All right. All right.
You're not proud?
I am proud.
Well, it's interesting you talk about development, Tehran, because we saw a lot of characters are kind of being presented that way. One week we see them have some sort of fatal flaw or something they're overcoming, and then the next week we're seeing that being a complete 180. Do you think that she really was being presented as a villain intentionally, or did that just
I don't think anyone's being intentionally presented in any way specifically. What I think we're seeing is something that I've come to learn and enjoy about the show is about personal development. And that's something where in the beginning we all thought it was going to be a competition or some type of arc in that manner, but it's not.
Yeah.
The story arc, it's not a competition from without, it's one from within.
Very well put. But speaking of the stuff within, we're going to be getting to Eric, Chelle, and Tim, which is our first kind of trio this week. The episode was titled Three's a Crowd, which was interesting because we got to see a lot of groups of three. And internally speaking, Chelle seems to have coral growing in her leg.
Like, I hate
Oh,
hearing
God.
that gives me the heebie-jeebies. Like, I don't like it.
I'm sure she doesn't like it either. I'm sure Michelle's not like, oh, look at the coral. It's a garden in my leg.
Oh my God, that just makes me squirm. I can't listen to that. I didn't even know that could happen, which apparently it can. It can.
Our
Yeah,
bodies are very fragile. We forget that all the time, especially living in the first world. We forget how fragile and how dangerous the world really is, and that's one of the struggles and conflicts of this island. It's not just man against man and man against self, but man against nature, and that's a defining theme throughout the history of man.
I agree.
I find it a little ironic.
Do you?
I find it a little ironic in this episode that of all the people who are going to get hit with an injury like that, it was probably one of the ones who's most suited to being in the water. Did anybody else find that ironic?
Right, yeah. I mean, well, I guess it's a little bit better that she was the one who got the coral because maybe she can try and clean it out. I don't know from her skills, but
Which that leads to the next question. Do you think that she is going to be able to overcome the coral?
I don't know. She seems very upset about it already. So I don't know, man. Us girls sometimes we're a little wimpy. So I don't know. If I had
think
coral
that at
growing
all.
out of my
I
leg.
disagree with what you just said
But
all the way.
coral growing out of my leg?
Women have human beings growing out of their stomachs and give birth and keep on moving.
Okay, great, but she
and
has
so
not done
women
that
to me
yet.
are some of the strongest people on this planet. When we say wimpy, men are the ones who cannot take pain whatsoever. At all. Women have a high tolerance of pain, whether it's emotional, physical, or spiritual, and they keep on trucking. So I have confidence in her ability to take pain. What I don't have confidence in is her understanding of a coral infection, and for her to be that worried about it possibly means it's a lot worse than all of us understand.
Yeah.
CJ, do you agree?
I don't like this conversation. I'm telling you, this conversation is making my skin crawl because
This is the counterpart.
There you go.
I don't like talking about things growing out of things that aren't supposed to be. No. You miss me with this conversation.
Yeah, I think, and this may just be me reading into it too much, but I think that this is going to play a big role with the rest of her arc as the show goes on, because they presented it in the, next week on Castaways that it's now growing. There's an infection growing in her leg. I wouldn't be surprised if she has to leave next week.
Yeah, I was gonna say I feel like that was a lot of buildup before Tim just kind of like opened up to her and told her that he kind of relies on her and that he's very proud to be there with her. And so the fact that now that she has this coral growing out of her leg, and if she might leave, Tim might have to do without her. And
That
I
was
don't
my
know.
favorite scene, is when Tim did the effectively told her, "I love you," and she responded, "That's nice.
Yeah, it was a very.
So how about this fire that we need?"
Yeah, I guess I can't really be surprised with that scene because she kind of just seems like that kind of person. I haven't
Chelle
really,
seems that way.
Yeah, I haven't really gotten that much emotion out of her to be
Keeps
the.
her walls build up a little.
Yeah, she doesn't really seem like the most emotionally supportive person because she's kind of come off as being pretty cold in the first couple of episodes. But that was one of my favorite parts of the episode. Very funny. Because it seemed like it was being built up into this nice, I really care about you, like, thank you so much.
And she would reciprocate. Chelle would reciprocate, but she just looked at Tim and was just
Like, thank you.
went on
We're not seeing any
emotionally
growth there.
detached. But we do realize that I think that it's a reciprocal relationship all the way. They
Definitely.
seem to
Oh,
work very well as a
definitely.
team, to the point where Eric left. Eric left. He knew it was his place to leave. I wasn't a fan of Eric.
Why was
last
it his
week.
place
I'm
to
a
leave?
little annoyed of Eric, honestly.
Well, there you go.
Oh man.
Whoa.
Like, he really
This
annoyed
is
me
my
this
guy.
episode.
Why was it his place
Why
to leave?
would he leave?
Why is it? You saying it's why it's his place to leave?
Well, they have a coupling which is very successful. And later we're going to talk about Matt, Richard, and Sawyer, and I feel that Matt should maybe take a note out of Eric's book, or Matt and Eric should meet up in some way. But the concept of Eric it changed the dynamic and the flow. Chelle and Tim have a dichotomy that works. It's successful. Obviously, Tim opens up. His wall comes down. When Eric was there, Tim's wall went back up, and they weren't able to be as A, amicable, and B, as effective on the island.
I feel like that's just because they don't know Eric that well and they haven't gotten to create that bond with Eric yet. You could be surprised by Eric, I think.
I think Eric is a very distant person. His walls seem to be high up, maybe because of the baggage of his emotional repression from his home life, or maybe just because he's an internal dick. Whatever it is, I don't know. But that's why Eric is coming off so unlikable. Just ask Kate.
Okay, I didn't say he was unlikable. I was just a little annoyed about this episode, about him leaving. I just feel like all he's been talking about is how lonely he's been, and it's not even the hunger that bothers him. It's the fact that he's alone, and he finds two people, and he doesn't have the kahunas to be like, hey, can I stay with you guys? He's like, I'm too afraid. Basically, I feel like.
Yeah, that's what's hard for me, because he was my most valuable castaway pick last week, because I felt like he had this passion in him to be a very strong person on the island, but I'm really confused as to why he would leave.
Well, Eric was clearly the wrong pick, which will
For what,
also
the
determine-
show?
For the MVP, he was wrong.
I was like, we don't want to get into that. We don't want to get
about that
not
later.
yet. Not
We'll
yet.
talk about that later. But we realized Eric was the wrong pick. But
Yours is much better.
But Terry is clearly the Bernie Sanders.
Bernie Sanders.
It's the person who, in hindsight, we're looking like, whoa, we should have maybe pushed a little harder. So the concept of it is, Eric is emotionally unavailable. And I feel that's what the problem was. Also, I don't feel like his skill set brought anything to the table.
But at the same time, I feel like Chelle and Tim should have said, why don't you stay? Both of them just kind of let him be like, okay, I'm going to go. And they just were like, okay, see you later.
As we saw last week, Chelle didn't want him to stay. And Tim wasn't as connected to Eric as first thought. So it was an amicable breakup. It was very amicable.
Yeah, that must have been it. That there was a connection there that maybe we just didn't see, because I thought
Or a lack of connection, right?
yeah, because
Yeah,
I thought Tim and Eric were getting along well, shown in that episode, but then obviously it's not turning out that well. So which is unfortunate.
And Tim comes off very emotional, so he would be the, no, Eric, you know what? Ever since you came, I've felt a kindred spirit, or would say something of that
Didn't we see
nature.
him, Tehran, get on that float and fly out to rescue somebody, apparently?
Wait, what?
Oh, with Tim?
Towards the end, yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of unsure what he's
You
doing.
think he's going to rescue Eric?
Yeah, well, because his backstory is that he rescues people. He's worked in human trafficking, I believe, and so I that's part of his arc. And he hasn't been a character that we've explored that much, and that's someone that I've been wanting to see more from. And I think we're gonna. But who is he gonna go save though? Because at this point, everyone's kind of found somebody.
Eric,
okay.
He's going to go grab Eric, bring him back, and be like, come on, hang out with us.
And then Eric's going to get up in the middle of the night and leave.
Yeah.
Eric is that guy. Eric is that guy where
No.
the girl turns around and is like,
He's gone.
He's actually getting his pants on and looking back like, oh, I got to work early tomorrow. I thought you didn't have to work tomorrow. They called me in for a meeting.
Oh
And he
shoot.
leaves.
Oh my god.
I don't know. I still believe in
That
Eric.
was a really good analogy, though.
I still believe in Eric, but moving on from them, we're going to talk a little bit more about Richard and Sawyer, who end up finding Matt in the end, or I guess Matt finds them towards the end of the episode. But
Sure.
I'm not sure about the rest of you guys, but I think Richard and Sawyer are becoming my favorite
They're becoming
favorite
a
duo.
bromance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which I think
they
is
are
something that's been
romance.
missing in this show so far. We haven't seen that, but are they becoming anybody else's favorite?
I
here?
think they are my MVP. Well, Kinsey's also my MVP, but they,
Of course.
of course, but I think they are coming up there to meet with Kinsey to be my favorite because they are killing it. They built that little machete thing to get the coconuts. They did some other things, but yeah, they're just killing it.
Yeah, they are killing it. I mean, I think they're a great duo. You know?
Tehran, do you agree? Are they one of your favorites?
Richard and Sawyer are a beautiful couple. I hope they stay together in holy matrimony forever.
They looked like a couple towards the end of the
Well,
show.
they were laying next to each other. It was actually very
reading
nice
in bed.
to see.
It was nice.
beautiful.
Yeah.
To see guys bond on a level that is something that we don't
bromance.
talk about in society as
Yeah.
often. We put that in place. Let's be very honest. If two girls lay in a bed together, we have no problems with it. But if two guys were laying in a bed together, people would possibly mock them or make suggestible comments regarding their sexuality. But these were two men who had just bested nature. They're doing their best to survive, and they're doing a great job at it. And they work, and it's a true partnership. They're teammates. They don't quarrel or bicker. And in fact, the only thing that I see becoming the bicker or the quarrel is Matt's presence when he enters the twosome to make it a threesome. And I don't see that both partners are happy and willing to cater to Matt because clearly Matt needs more help than they do. He doesn't bring as much, admittedly, to the table as
I
they
don't know
do.
if he should have just been flat out like that. I would have maybe lied a little and been like, yeah, or at least like say, I will try to do whatever like you want to put me up to do. Like he was just kind of like, I'm not helpful.
Have you ever had someone visit you in LA and they ask you to pick them up from the airport or they ask you to take them around and you're like, you're the worst human being ever?
Why?
Because it's the worst thing to
Yeah.
do. If you're in LA, everyone knows you're not a good friend if you ask me to pick you up or take you to the airport or you need me to drive you around in traffic to show you Malibu. That's my entire week. If I take you to Malibu, that's a week-long process. That's who Matt is. Matt is the person who showed up to LA, and now you need a ride. Get Uber.
Interesting.
Walk.
I feel like you're underestimating
I
that a little
think
bit.
you are. I mean, Matt's my boy.
Yeah, I mean, because we haven't seen a ton from Matt survival ability. Is that a word?
Survival
Survivability. I think that's it. There we
Survivor
go.
skills.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like surviving 6 days, as he did on that little hut or whatever it was out there in the
Alone.
water.
So I have a question. You think that Matt surviving in a makeshift apartment complex that's nicer than most of us have was impressive to you?
Hey, he caught a fish, okay?
Well, and see, that's true.
He caught
Richard never did that.
a fish in a sea
Richard couldn't catch
of
a fish.
fish. At this point, you could reach in with your hand and catch a fish.
I'm just saying, I mean, that's still more than I think other people could have done.
Well, see, because this goes back to what we talked about last week. Are they surviving or are they thriving? And Matt obviously is a person who is just surviving, but
Well, Richard and Sawyer are
thriving.
Yeah.
100%.
And but I think that's okay in this group because as we've seen with the group of Tim and Chelle, there aren't enough materials for everyone to go around to have a third person. But as we saw in this episode, Sawyer and Richard have plenty of resources.
I have a
They've talked
question.
about it all the time.
Do you have a favorite snack?
Sure, yeah.
What's your favorite snack?
I like Doritos.
Doritos? They're
Yeah.
good, huh? They're
Yeah.
delicious. Especially when you crunch them, especially when they're fresh and you open.
Yeah.
So I come over and I eat the last of your Doritos. You don't feel like going to Ralph's and getting more Doritos. Those were your Doritos. You were counting on eating those Doritos when you
Okay.
come home.
Yeah.
That's annoying. That's
Sure.
Matt.
But don't you think they can get over that?
I don't
Because I
think
feel
so.
like okay, Katie, what do you
No,
think?
keep going. Were you
They,
finishing?
they had enough rice and already they have to double up. Already he's gotten a coconut. And then what was so bougie about him was instead of just drinking from the coconut like a man, I have a glass. Well, you know what, Matt? Why don't you take your glass ass right back to where you came from, buddy?
All right.
I'm just saying, the concept
You
of
didn't even
Matt
give
is
him
a
a
burden.
chance, though.
I gave him a chance. Last episode.
And look what he's done. He regrouped, he got around the point, and now he finally met some
He
people.
ate an Oreo, and then when it was his last one, he was like, I need to find other people. And he literally just went around the island for 2.5 hours, mind you. Great. in desperation, sounds a bit thirsty, and got to the other people. They were not excited to see him. They did not get up and give him a warm welcome. Richard didn't jump up and go, "Hey!" It was more like,
Richard did say hey.
Oh yeah,
"Hey."
and then Sawyer gave him like this weird look.
Exactly, because Sawyer's logical. Sawyer understands that we have enough for us. We have enough for us. What do we do when we run out? What happens? Now we all suffer.
Sawyer is a realist.
Okay,
He-
but I'm just saying, like, before they even got there, Richard was talking about how he was just, like, dead set on just being with Sawyer, and they're a power team, and, like, I hope no one else joins into the picture. So with that already in your mind, like, and then seeing someone like Matt show up, and then feel, you know, like, oh, man, like, I was hoping no one showed up, and then this guy did. Like, he's already gonna not like him, I feel like.
Yeah, I feel like the third person always gets excluded. That's why three, like the
Three's a
title
crowd, yeah.
says, three's a crowd. Yeah.
We figured it out. There we go.
Ding,
but,
ding.
But no, I mean, I think Matt has potential. We just haven't seen it yet, and because he hasn't really been able to. I mean, because we saw in the first, or not the first episode, last week's episode, you know, he tried to do some things and he failed. Which I will admit that's a very big negative, but I think he has that drive to keep going. And that's what I think is the most important thing in these kind of situations, is being willing to go and try again.
I understand what you're saying, Michael. I appreciate that. And when you said something about drive, I realized that I wish that there was a race car there and he could just drive away. So
All right.
there goes Matt.
Low
That's
blow,
how I
low
feel
blow,
about
low
Matt.
blow.
Matt. But then again, he might drive away and not win, because that's where we are with
Wow,
Matt.
another low blow.
Sorry, Matt.
Shoot,
I
okay.
apologize.
You're out here
History-
trolling on Matt.
I'm not trolling.
Out
Matt,
here
hopefully
trolling
you
on
will
Matt.
join us on the show and we can discuss this in person. Mano e Matto.
Nice. But
Calling Matt out.
yeah, no, I think we're going to see more from Matt. But we're going to move on from them for now. But before we get into our next topic, Tehran would like to talk to you a little bit more about AfterBuzz TV.
Well, I would love to tell the AfterBuzzers, our network produces after shows for nearly all of your favorite TV shows. From dramas, reality TV, sci-fi, and more, there is no network that works harder to serve television fans than us. But we need your help. We're asking that you please subscribe to one or more of our YouTube channels. By subscribing to our channel, YouTube will suggest content that's tailor-made for you, and you'll help AfterBuzz continue to grow. And if you're worried about pesky notifications, don't be, because they're optionals. Just click them right off. So hit that subscribe button now for this channel and check out our other AfterBuzz YouTube channels as well. Let us know you did so in the comments, and we'll thank you on air. Just write those comments right below. We appreciate each and every one. For now, thanks for being the best fans and for helping us be the ESPN of TV talk.
Yeah, thanks guys. Once again, thanks for everybody who's watching. I've been communicating with a couple fans on Twitter and in the YouTube comments and stuff of this show.
And the YouTube.
The YouTube. Yeah, no, so there's a lot of support for the show and for Castaways, and so we appreciate that.
But there
Love
can
you
always be
guys.
more, so make sure you click subscribe, tell your friends, send it around. Let's discuss. We love having you be a part of our forum because you're just as much a part of our show as we are. Thank you so much.
Exactly. So moving on now, we're getting into the real juicy part of this show. Terry and Rashana and Tracy, because that's her name.
Whom?
So, yeah, we kind of all had a hard time with this episode. I think you even, CJ, mentioned
Is her name Kershana or Rashana?
Or Rashana. I'm sorry.
Rashana.
There you go. There's
Wow,
like
I
a
didn't even catch that.
There's a
For some
Chelle- there's a
reason I
Chelle-
heard
Rashana.
Rashana
I
in
get
my
it.
brain.
I get it, Michael. Black names all sound alike. Too.
Okay, all right, we're going there. But Rashana, I apologize.
Rashana.
But so the two of them.
Not to be cute and confused with Rosh Hashanah. Chas Sameach, everybody. I want everyone to know. It's coming up.
Yeah. All right.
Perfect.
But so that we see the pair, Rashana and Terry, they're surviving. I'd say they're doing well. They're enjoying each other's company, and Rashana goes off and finds a bunch of
suitcase.
stuff.
Bag, yeah.
A bunch of stuff, which we find out is Tracy's stuff.
Who is this Tracy? I've never seen her or heard of this woman.
Tracy's actually, it's interesting. Tracy is the new Felicia.
Bye, Felicia.
Bye, Tracy.
No, you were saying that we saw Tracy in the second episode. I don't remember this.
I believe it was the first or second episode as a very small snippet.
Yeah,
And so
very
she
small
she
snippet.
was introduced, and that's what I find the most interesting about her absence, because she had a lot of backstory, it seemed like. We got to see some behind the scenes, not behind the scenes, but before she went on the island, which we haven't really seen a lot from some of the other castaways. So it almost makes me think that...
Do you remember some of the details, Michael, of her behind the scenes?
Yeah, she was... she had a... No, I'm trying to recall. She had a very similar backstory to Terry, where she was taking care of many people in her household. I believe she had something like 3 or 4 generations of family in one household. And that was very fascinating to me. So I'm disappointed that she's not there, honestly.
That's interesting.
To learn more
that
about
you're
her
so
and her,
disappointed
her
about her
past.
struggle.
Well, because it just seems like everybody's got a really great backstory
Yeah.
so far. And it was abrupt because we got to see less of her than
Did she
Angel.
only last a day though? Because they're only on day 6, so I think she only lasted a day.
A couple days.
She
by
must
herself.
have. She must have been early because, like we saw, she was on. I believe it was the 2nd episode. I could be wrong. Call me out in the comments all you want if I'm wrong. But I think she must have lasted till day 3 at least, because the 2nd episode went through day 3.
Also, in that video that Rashana was watching, Tracy did look pretty rough. Like her lips were all crusty, and she looked like she was about to faint or something.
Sure,
so
she looked dehydrated. And
Yeah.
worse for wear. Tracy reminds me of another character on the show, Matt. And Matt and Tracy
There we go.
have a lot in
Subtle.
common.
How?
Just because I feel as if they're both
Going to leave?
just pointless
Are
at this
you-
point.
No,
on
see,
the show.
I don't agree with that, because Tracy.
I'm shocked.
Tracy, I believe, and this is just pure speculation, that it was dehydration, but
It seemed like dehydration.
I think it was too. That's what came to my mind.
yeah,
First thought.
and because what we saw from Rashana is that when she found the bag, there was tons of food in there. So I mean, she must have had enough food to survive.
Also, why didn't she? If she left the show, shouldn't she have taken her stuff with her?
No, because I feel like it would just make more sense for them to leave it there so that other people could have it. Because the same thing happened with Angel, I believe.
Yeah.
Although we haven't seen how they leave, so who really knows the process behind
And also,
leaving?
I wanted to know the process of how they got placed. Were they placed? It seems if they were placed sporadic, but were they? It's almost as if they were unconscious when they were placed. They didn't look around. They didn't see what was going on. Were they on separate boats when they arrived? It's very interesting. These are, hopefully, when season 2 gets picked up, these are questions that are answered. The process, because we didn't learn a lot
Right.
about the process and the reason why. Why were these people specifically selected? Why were they dispersed in such a manner? And how was the
But
manner
I feel like it's like a
of how they-
learning process, because I feel like the first episode was just so much. We didn't know what was going on. I feel like every week we're just like slowly learning kind of what the show's about, what's going on, like the relationships, the backstories,
Well, and I think you're going to start to see, going off that, is that now we're starting to get to the meat and potatoes of the episode, or of the show, because the first 3 episodes, and I had a conversation with somebody on Twitter about this earlier in the week, that the show did start off kind of slow, but I think it's because they wanted to introduce everybody properly. Now we're going to start getting into the drama.
They didn't introduce this Tracy. Who
Well,
is
probably because they realized that she was going to leave early, so what was the point of telling her story?
So did Angel. They told
Right.
his story.
But
Is that his name?
he had met somebody else. So he was with Sawyer, correct? I
Yeah.
believe. Yeah, because they're telling Sawyer's story. Angel's a part of that story, so they have to tell that. So I think that's why we didn't see
Tracy was
more of
alone.
Tracy. But I think now we're starting to get into the
and
real.
it's only day 6 still.
Yeah,
So it's only 6
How many days do
on
they
this
stay there,
island.
though?
we
We're
don't know.
on shore so far.
We're in the dark. They don't know. We don't know. It's almost
None
like we're a
of us
part of the
know.
show.
It does feel that way. It feels like
That's why we're
it
dressed
feels
up.
like if you ever watched
We are.
Lost, you felt very immersed on the
You
show.
felt very lost.
We feel very immersed in the show. We do feel a lot of their angst. The show is able to convey their feelings without us needing to be empathetic. We're almost placed and thrust into that situation ourselves, especially with the editing, which Michael commented is amazing, and we believe is Emmy worthy.
Oh yeah.
And it's very similar in this regards, is the editing and the way it's shot, it does make you feel very connected to the island itself, even if not to each and every character.
Well, and that goes off of of what we talked about in week 2 when we talked about Angel and us being sad if he was going to leave, if we were disappointed in him, because we got to see, as we saw further on in the episode, that Rashana ended up leaving as well. And there was a very...
And also, I just want to say, I called that. Everyone at home, you can say, tell all these people that CJ is right, because I said that Rashana was going to lead the next episode, and guess what? She did.
Congratulations, CJ.
There we go. There it is. There it is. Brilliant.
Well, I'm very proud of you.
Yeah, no. So as we got to see, she ended up having to leave as well for whatever reason we don't really know.
For some type of ailment, which actually towards the end, I started questioning if she faked it. If this
Really?
was something where she was just tired of being on the island and she didn't want to go off on her own accord, so she created a situation where she felt ill. She felt dizzy.
See, I don't agree with that, because her backstory showed that she's got fight. You know, I mean, I feel like something like this wouldn't be that difficult for her.
But, this is a whole different scenario. She's from New York City.
Yeah.
And now she's on this deserted island. Even though she does have Terry, I feel like it is a whole different scenario for her. And I don't know if she was fully prepared for it.
I mean, I don't know how much I agree with what you were saying, because
Why do you disagree with Kate?
Well, Rashana kind of has some similarities to me, because she's...
Do you compare
my
every
headphones.
character to you?
No, only the
Just a
ones that
question.
are good. Well, besides her. But Rashana and I have some similarities. We are both realists. In the first episode, she was like, she's never been camping. I've never been camping. She found this bag. Found some beef jerky, and just dug right in. I would have done the same. And then, like you were saying, she may have faked it. I mean, I would have done that too. I need to get off this island. I'm not staying. I need to go sleep in a bed. If I was Rashana, peace out. I'm heading back to New York. Like, gotta go.
Interesting, because
Wow.
I don't really agree with the faking it angle.
Me either. I don't think that she was faking it.
Well, because I think that Rashana's got more than that. I mean, we've seen from her pretty much the main thing, or one of the main focal points of this episode was seeing her struggle in real life and being able to overcome that. One of my favorite parts of the entire episode was her reading that poem, and it's about her family being evicted and her
I understand.
overcoming that. And I feel like it just doesn't. I can't believe that she would purposely leave.
I can understand where you're coming from, and I just feel like, for example, Kate, because I respect you as a person, and I also feel like you're a studious person, that you are well educated. Did you really like going to school?
Yeah.
Did you like going to school? Were you one of the people who I like going to school? I get up in the morning and I go to school.
She seems like it.
I mean, not in high school, but college, I was more into it. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Did you ever fake being sick not to go to a class?
Oh,
Because Rashana faked being sick to get off an island.
See,
It doesn't matter how much you like something. At some point, when you don't want to do it, you just don't want to do it. And it became difficult. It became ineffective. She wasn't growing or developing as a person, so there was no real point for her to be on. Her hair wasn't even frizzy yet. It was perfectly tight knit.
okay.
And now, I know some of you might not understand how difficult that is. However,
I don't.
trust me, Michael.
Yeah.
It is extremely difficult for her hair to have stayed so extremely tight knit, especially in the rain.
Well, no,
Especially-
she had a hairnet so she could wrap it at night.
You have hairnets. You've seen hairnets. Are they that good? Especially on a deserted island. Unless she had a wave cap, bro. We're having a conversation. So my thing is, while she has a very strong spirit in herself, I don't think she was physically prepared for the strenuous activity of being on this island. She was not happy. There is no food. There's very little water. Her partner wasn't someone who was able to provide like a Richard and Sawyer. Maybe then we would see a different side of her. So I'm not saying for a fact that she faked it.
Yeah.
I'm simply saying, is it possible? And I say yes.
Honestly, that scene made me like Terry more. When Rashana was getting all sick and stuff, Terry was comforting her. I mean, she may be crazy, but she's still motherly.
So it wasn't enough last week when she was caring for her. It's this week when Rashana was quitting
she
and
was-
dying, and Terry was still being Terry the strong.
Last week you
person.
didn't
Yeah.
see that as much. You didn't see her like rubbing her shoulders or in her head and being like so motherly as she was in this episode. You did not see that last week, and I felt that being that I could see that this week, that made me like Terry a little bit more.
Well, we appreciate you liking Terry a little more, CJ,
Thank you.
because I know how difficult it is for you to take away from Kenzie.
Well, because the fact of the matter is, whether or not Rashana wanted to leave or had to leave, whether she faked it or not.
Because we don't know anything about her disease.
Exactly.
And also the symptom it wasn't you're burning up. The symptom wasn't your head is hurting.
Yeah.
The symptom wasn't I was infected by something.
was
I have
like, I
coral
don't know.
growing in my knee. She was sitting there, I feel a little dizzy, which is understandable. Heat, lack of water, whatever. Just being in that environment can make you feel dizzy.
Yeah.
Exposure. However, it was lay in the lap and then I don't feel like I can take this anymore. Hide your kids, hide your wife, I have to go home.
Yeah. Well, the fact of the matter is she's gone now, and Terry is by herself.
Again.
Poor
Rashana should have packed some motion sickness medicine in her bag or something.
Would it have mattered? Did she get her bag?
No.
Did she?
No.
I don't believe
she
so.
did not.
I can't remember off the top of my head who's got her bag, but I don't think they have it. But which leads to the question now, Terry being by herself, will she be able to survive? Because we got to see in this episode, she talked a lot about.
No, Terry's gone. She's gone the next week. I know she is your favorite character, Tehran, but Terry, she's old, she's crazy, she's by herself. She's gone.
That's actually the person you thought was going to be gone next.
No, I said Rashana because she was.
Roll the tape. Somebody clip it. Somebody clip that.
Let's have a conversation, but I feel like Terry has a strength within her. She will
That's
find
what you
someone
said
else.
last week.
And is she the one who quit?
I mean.
In fact, if I remember correctly, she was trying to comfort the person who was about to quit and actually was encouraging her to stay, and that person still ended up quitting, and Terry is still there. Terry is strong. She's stronger than, and don't be an ageist, because that's what it really comes down to. We're looking at her like, well, she's old. Well, that gives her a lot of experience.
She
and it gives
talks
her
to
a
herself.
She has a temperament that's
So does Eric.
wonderful. And talking to yourself is actually a sign of sanity, especially when you're by yourself.
So you admit that she has similarities to Eric.
No.
Eric talks to himself as well.
Eric isn't a bad person. I have no problems with Eric. I just don't like the fact that he has a lack of skills. And especially
And Terry doesn't?
compared to, while Eric goes below expectations, Terry exceeds expectations.
I agree with
That's
that.
the difference.
By doing what?
See, so let's say we were playing basketball, CJ.
Another analogy. Here we go.
And I dunk the ball. Okay, I can dunk the ball. But if you dunk the ball and you're 5'1", I would be very impressed.
I'm not 5'1".
I would be extremely impressed by your
6'1".
dunking skills. You're definitely not 6'1". So my thing is, I would be,
CJ.
I would be very impressed if you could dunk. The concept is, even Michael, you're taller.
Yeah.
You're actually 6'3",
6'5".
6'5".
Yeah.
I wouldn't be as impressed. But if Kate went out there and just drove in and then dunked it, I'd be like, or even if Kate made a layup, I might be like, wow, Kate, great skills. Because it's something where it's unexpected. And with Terry, she's exceeded my expectations because it was unexpected for her to be so strong, to be so fragile, and yet so composed and have such a wonderful, positive temperament.
But can we talk about the results of the MVP? Because Terry did not win.
Not yet,
Terry did not
CJ.
win.
I was like, we'll actually, you know what? We'll get into that. But
Yeah.
before that, now I'm interested in playing 2-on-2. We need to get some 2-on-2
God.
after this
You know-
game. Let's see it. I'm terrible at basketball.
I'm
What's
awful
a team?
at
Who's on the team?
Tehran and I are on a team.
Actually, I would just take all three of you, to be honest.
Oh,
okay.
that's fine. All
All
three
right.
of us against Tehran. We'll see how it goes.
We'll make it work. And I'll spot you guys points.
Oh no! Don't do that
Trust
to
me.
us. Don't do that for us.
All right, we'll see. Because now I'm intrigued. But like we mentioned, we had MVC last week, our most valuable castaway. We had 4 options to choose from. We had Terry, Eric, Matt, and Kenzie. And without further ado, we are going to announce the winner of that Twitter poll. Can I get a drum roll, please?
That's a long drum roll.
The winner is Matt Jaskell
Ayy.
with 65% of the vote. If you voted on Twitter, I'm sure you'll be able to see that. But
Good job. That was Kate's pick, was Matt.
It was my pick.
That's great. Psych. So
Oh,
listen,
okay.
just because you people were
That hurt
wrong,
a
it
little
doesn't
bit.
matter.
That
It
hurt a
doesn't
little
matter
bit.
that you were wrong at home.
Guess who
That
was
you were
second
wrong.
place? my girl Kinsey.
Yeah, if we can get the results up on the screen,
All right,
we've got.
but she was way behind Matt, so let's not really put
And
her
guess
in the
who was
same
way
category.
behind each of those people? Terry.
Sure.
And
Dude, it was
Harry.
5%. It was
Because
5%.
Both of your people are the lowest. They're the underdogs.
You're right, and the person who drafted Steph Curry got fired. I understand when people are just wrong. However, it's time will tell. That's the concept. And when you say Matt's the MVP, this is the same Matt that admitted this week. I don't really have any skills.
She says Matt's the MVP.
But Matt's still there trying.
And I think that's what.
If that's the basis, then Terry wins.
I think that's what resonated with people, honestly. And obviously, these votes are subjective, and whoever's got whatever following they do on social media. But I think, honestly, fans of the show are identifying with Matt's drive and his willing to never give up. And that's something, that's a story that's been told for years throughout all these kinds of mediums of never giving up. And I think fans are resonating with that. But that's MVC for this week. Or go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say, especially when you have failure and he's trying to go for redemption, too, if you think about it. From his whole racing career, he talks about how he failed. And on this island, he always brings up how he does not want to fail again.
Yeah, he doesn't want to fail. Never give up. He's Castaways John Cena.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone loves John Cena. Am I right?
Well, not
Am I
Nikki
right?
Bella.
Wrestling fans?
Yeah.
Ooh, that was a good one. That was a low blow. But
Rest in peace, John Cena. You were a great statesman.
but we've got a different special
Too soon?
segment. We got a different special segment for you guys this week, and we are going to be calling it "What's in Your
that
Bag."
Oh, what's in that?
What's in your bag? What's in your bag? Like that credit card commercial. I don't remember the name of it, but.
What's in your wallet?
There you go. There you go. But so what we're basically going to be doing with this is we're going to be going down the line and we're going to be talking about 3 things that we're going to put in our bag if we were going on Castaways. So CJ, let's start with you. What are your three items that you'd bring on the island?
Okay, so my 3 items would probably be my life alert badge, so I could click it and get off the island.
Okay.
And then I would pack a pop-up tent so I could be in there chilling until my life alert people come, and my fully charged cell phone so I could just
So
That's
you
not
would
fair.
use the item that gets you off the island the fastest, a cell phone that has no reception, and what was the third thing?
tent.
A tent.
A tent is good.
I would chill in my tent while playing my
Video
phone games while waiting on my life alert.
So
So
you will
obviously
leave
I am
right
the
away.
best. Wait. Hold on. I mean, yeah.
Thank you, Tracy. I mean, CJ. I appreciate you.
Katie, what are your 3 items?
Okay.
What do you bring?
I would bring a knife,
Violent.
a tarp, and then I have a hat
Okay.
to block my sun from the
That's
face.
excellent.
Why the knife?
You know, to cut things, to cut up the fish and stuff. There's a lot of reasons I feel like for a knife. The hat, I have very pale skin, so
I'm with ya. I'm
the
with ya.
face, you got to protect the face. And then, a tarp I feel like is going to be very useful for when you build shelter.
Interesting.
Tehran, I'm very interested in hearing your 3.
I like mine, a Game Boy, a Hustler magazine, and popsicles, because I want to be like CJ and just have pointless things in my bag.
I don't know why I expected anything else.
I'm
but
going,
here
to
we are.
bring,
Pointless
I'm going
ice.
to bring a fishnet. I'm going to bring a lighter. And I'm going to have a machete.
Interesting. Okay.
First of all, my stuff is not pointless. I am just being a realist. I'm getting off the island, going back to my life. Why do I need to stay? We're not on a TV show, are we?
Not yet. But when hashtag CJ for season 2 happens,
Just know
we're
he's going
gonna see
home
it.
No.
But,
right away.
but real quick,
He's not even trying.
I'll get into my things. Like
Yeah.
you, CJ, I said
Life
I was going to
alert?
bring a tent.
Oh.
No, not life alert. I don't even think I qualify for life alert. But I was going to bring a tent. I was going to bring a flint and steel, to make fire with.
That's 2
very
things,
important.
so that's your 3. You're done.
That's true.
Okay, let's just.
You're done. Sorry,
All
sir.
right, what was your last
Damn, you
one?
guys got me.
Just to put it out there.
And like a water purifier. You gotta have
Water
water.
purifier
Like
was
a-
actually something I was thinking.
Yeah, you
That's
gotta have
great.
water. That's the building block of life.
But I
Yeah.
think that I'd be able to find. They haven't had very very much trouble finding water, and that's the only reason. But I would also agree with the water.
There's plenty of water.
No. You can't drink
But no,
water.
you can create a fire and
Boil
boil it.
That's not how it works. If that was the case, then
I've seen the
fresh water-
shows. I've seen the
then
movies.
fresh water-
Survivor
I've
is
seen
not
the
real life.
movies.
That's why the concept is, if that was actually the case, then fresh water wouldn't be a problem in the world. And unfortunately, the reality of the situation is fresh water, even today, is a huge problem in third world countries across the world, and even in second world nations. We take water for granted all the time because we have such a good placement of it, especially coming downstream from Canada. But honestly, fresh water is scarce. And so we take it for granted, but it's not easy, and it's also the building block of life. You'll dehydrate before you starve 5 times faster.
3 days.
Yeah, see, Tehran's got me, so I was right. I got the best 3, but
You have 4.
All right, okay. Unfortunately, we're running out of time, so real quick, let's get to predictions. We've got episode 5 next week, A Cry for Help. Spooky. A Cry for Help. Tehran, what do we think we're seeing next week?
I think next week we're going to see the conflict between Richard Sawyer and Matt hit the head. That there's going to be a situation where Matt feels unwelcome, and that becomes a conversation because Matt tends to get emotional and Sawyer seems to be confrontational. And I think that's going to create conflict. I think we're going to see something specifically happen between the Chelle with the infection. I think it's going to continue to get worse. There's no antibiotics. There's no help or any type of remedy that's readily available.
Robbie has it as well. He cut himself with.
And I'm worried about Robbie as well. Robbie seems to have a
He's weak.
situation. And while Robbie's is not as poignant as the one Chelle's cut seemed to be a lot deeper and affected right away. I think it's going to cause something of we're going to see some type of ramification from it or consequence.
Awesome.
Good predictions.
Katie, what do you think?
I think Tim is going to go rescue our good friend Eric and bring him on over, and hopefully the 3 will just be, one big happy family. That's what I'm hoping for right now. And I hope that, I am hoping that someone finds Terry or Terry finds someone else and that she stays.
Thank you.
CJ, what about you?
So you said the name of it is A Cry for Help?
Yes.
Right? So I think that Terry will be crying out for help for her life alert.
Interesting. My predictions, Katie, you said the group of 3 with Chelle, Tim, and Eric. I'm dropping a bomb here. I think Chelle is off the island next week. And it's going to be a group of 2 from that on.
Strong.
I'm going with that. We got 2 people this week. We're getting 1 next week. So
Is she the only one, you think?
Ooh, I don't know.
Terry.
No, I believe in Terry. I'm Team Terry all the way.
Thank you.
Tehran's got me now. But unfortunately, that's all.
I would say Matt's going to drop, but I just don't think he's smart enough to know he should quit. So
No.
Matt's not a quitter.
Matt's got
not a
got
quitter.
it. But unfortunately, that's all we've got for tonight, everybody. Once again, thank you for joining us on AfterBuzz TV Competitions, talking Castaways with us. I'm your host, Michael Patterson. You can find me on Twitter at MikePatNews. CJ, where can we find you?
I am CJ Walker. You can find me everywhere. CJ Walker, even on YouTube.
Katie?
Guys, you can Katie Wolski. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at KatieWolski_.
And make sure to find her at Woodstock. My name's Tehran. You can find me at I am Tehran all across the social atmosphere at IAMTEHRAN. Thank you so much for being here.
Awesome. Thanks for being here, guys. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye. And we'd love to know what's in your bag down below. Make sure to comment.
Yes.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.